Hello my crafty friends, and welcome to another video by yours truly. Right, so thank you for dropping by. So it's been a bit of a while since I've last done a video, but I hope you like this one. I'm doing this because somebody specifically asked me to do this. So basically it's going to be heat embossing, and I'm going to show you how to do basic heat embossing, but I'm also going to take it a stage further, hence why you can see here some distress inks that I've got out ready. So okay, let's have a look to see what we're going to need. I've got a piece of black card. Now I'm doing on black card for a specific reason, which I will explain as I go along. Put that to one side. Versamark clear ink pad. Now this is obviously clear, and this will act as a glue to when you stamp onto the card. So I will explain again that as we go along. But yes, Versamark ink pad, and this is what the actual embossing powder sticks to for when we come to heat. So again, put that to one side, and I have got that's the clear. We'll need that later. Let me just grab the white. Yeah, there we go. White embossing powder. This is Sentimentally Yours. It's a fine embossing powder, pure white, so we will have that. And I've got a blending tool already poised ready, but we will do that in a minute. And my little crocodile thingy, and all this is a little crocodile clip with a bit of doweling, and I just use that to hold my piece of work while I'm using the heat gun. Right, okay, and this is the heat gun that I use. It's the Ranger Heated Craft Tool. Yeah, you can hear that. It works, it's plugged in, always a good thing. So, okay, heat embossing. And there's a few basics that you will need, and one of them is an anti-static bag. Now you can get these, you can get them all over the shop. If you put in anti-static bag, like on the even on Stamp-A-Lot, Crafter's Companion, any website like that, you will get an anti-static bag. Now what this does is, if you handle your card, you're going to get grease transferred from your hands onto your card. Now to get rid of it, because obviously the ultimate thing that we want to do is to put the embossing powder where we've stamped. So therefore we don't want little specks, little bits here and there that detract from the image that we're stamping, if that makes sense. So first things first, anti-static bag all over your piece of card. Now you might have to do this 2 or 3 times, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. And then we just get our image, our little stamp, and I'm going to use this script stamp, and it's from the collage collection from Crafter's Companion. So I'm just going to get it out and then get my block. Obviously if you have one, you can use a stamping platform. That is perfectly good. Make sure that is down onto your block, and then we get our Versamark ink pad, and we just lightly tap all over the stamp very gently. You don't need to go mad, and you don't have to force it down. You don't want to do that. All you're doing is want to transfer the ink that's on the surface of the ink pad onto the raised images of the stamp. So lots of gentle tapping is all that requires. I mean, if I hold that up just for this, hope you can hear that. It's just very light tapping all over the stamp. Make sure you've got the whole image covered, And there we go. Lid back on the ink pad, and then bring your piece of cardstock. Now, the reason I'm doing black, stamping onto black, and using white embossing powder is so that you can see what's going to transpire, hopefully, he says. So, stamp down onto your piece of card and just let the ink soak into the card for a few seconds and just hold it there. What you don't want to do at this stage is move the stamp, obviously, because otherwise you'll get a smudged image. So so that's fine. And then hold your card with the other hand, lift off in one go, and hopefully, says he, and we've got the white embossing powder, so we can roughly along the top give it a gentle shake. Voila. Now if it's a bit paler on the other side, that's fine, just give it a bit more. There we go. How's that? How cool is that? And if I hold it up, there's no specks, and I think all this is part of the stamp, so I won't worry too much about it. But generally we have got a smooth, crisp, clear image of where our embossing powder has gone. And then just put the excess back into your pot, lid back on, because you don't want to knock that. And then here is where our little tool comes in handy, because then we can pick up the corner of our card, and this is going to make a bit of a noise, so do excuse me. And then just, now you're going to know when this is done, because it will go white and shiny, which is what we want. And once that has moved, once that has done, you can move it up onto your next piece. You can see if I hold that up now, you can see over there it's gone really white and shiny. That's what we're aiming for all over. So you just have to be a little bit patient, and if I've got time I will try and do a video of stamping onto parchment and make some flowers. Show you how to make flowers out of parchment using your stamps and dies. Because once you've mastered this, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. And there's quite a few dies and stamp sets out there that actually make flowers. Excuse me. So I will try and endeavour to do that over this weekend. So if I hold that up to you, you can see, hopefully, how shiny that is, which means that has melted. And I'm just, it might be a little bit just in the middle there. So just give it another wish over. There we go. Cool. Now, next part, we need to do the bottom part. So again, we get our, move that to one side. We get our stamp and gently just tap all over. We don't need to go too mad this time, because there's probably still some ink left on from the last time. So a little gentle taps all over, and if you want to go sideways you can do so. Again, just gentle tapping all over. There we go. And because I've handled my card, I am going to just quickly go over the bottom part with my anti-static, so that again I get a nice crisp clear image. Put that to one side, and there we go. And then what I was trying to say earlier, you can actually hover over your piece of card and position your stamp where you want it. So I'm just going to go there, I think, and then down it goes. Press all over. Keep one hand on the stamp like that, and then the other one press down on the stamp as we did before, and just give it time for the ink to make contact with the card. Swap over, do the same again, and then that should be it, and we have hopefully a nice crisp clear image. Now, because all this is done and heated and set, we can actually handle this now and lift the stamp off in one fell swoop. And then we will get our white embossing powder again and repeat the process and do and shake off the excess, put that to one side and put the excess back into your pot, just like that. Lid back on so you don't spill anything. Accidents do happen, I've learnt the hard way. And then we just get our little tool again so we don't get burnt fingers, and then we reset it as we've done before. And because the heat gun's already been heated up, we've heated it up, it shouldn't take quite so long to do this print. So as you can see, it's already beginning to go white, as you can see in the camera there. So as soon as that happens, so it won't take long bit. And don't be afraid stamping off the edge, because it gives, well, I'm going to explain a bit more about that later in the next little thing that I'm going to do for you. Don't be afraid of stamping off the edges. That is absolutely perfectly acceptable. It's absolutely fine. So there we go. And we're just going to do the last little bit down the bottom here. And then, so again, as we have done before, we just need to ink up our stamp, ink it up, and then again, and just to cover myself, the last little bit with the anti-static or talcum powder. If you've got that, you can use that, that's perfectly acceptable, and just brush it over with a old makeup brush or something, you know, something along those lines. So you can get a old makeup brush, a little, if you've got an empty tub of something, pour a little bit of talcum powder in, and then just dip it in and then swish that over your card, and that's as good as using an anti-static bag. But to me, I think an anti-static bag is probably a better way. It's less messy. So I'm just going to bring that down again as we've done before, and then that would be our background completed. I'll put that to one side. Now, because the stamp has gone on to some of this area, I don't want to waste the embossing powder, so I'm just going to turn it over and get a clean piece of copy paper, so that when I sprinkle this onto the bottom and onto the paper, it will stick to where I want it, and I can pull all the excess back without it sticking to somewhere where I've stamped. So there we go, that can go back in there, and then we've just got one final bit of heating to do, and because it's down the bottom, I can use my fingers this time, although you still can feel the heat. Surprising, it's quite a powerful tool. So this is basics of heat embossing. Now obviously I've used white primarily so you can see what I'm doing, but obviously gold on black is really nice, so I could have done that in gold embossing powder. That would have looked equally as nice, equally as striking, but I've chosen to go with white, so you can see it better. So there you go, there is your embossed piece of white card, straightforward. Right, okay, so that's your first one. Well, let's take it a step further. I'm going to clean my stamp. Now, you all know me by now, and if you do like these videos, please subscribe, like, and also share, which will be absolutely awesome if you can, onto other of your social media platforms that you might be groups of. So if you could do that, that would be absolutely awesome. I'm just going to get a baby wipe and clean off my stamp, so I know that that will be good for me to go on the next time and get a piece of kitchen towel and clean my stamp. And then this is just I mean, that is perfectly as it is now. That is, I mean, it's still a bit, it's sticky because of the nature of the stamp, but it's dry, and I know that would be good for me to go next time. So hence why I've always got into the habit of cleaning my stamps, and then it reduces the risk of contaminating, especially if you're using clear ink pads. So I'm just going to pop that back into my envelope, back into its packet, and I will retrieve the flower. Now, what we got, sorry about that knock. What we're going to do now is we're going to use the flower, and I'm going to put the clear away. No, I'm going to put the white away, and I'm going to use clear. Now, the thing is with this, you're not going to see very much, but I will do the first part of this, and then I will show you where we're going to go. So, again, usual performance, ink up your stamp, gentle tapping all over, and then anti-static bag on your piece of card to get any prints away. Sorry about the little knock there. And then stamp. Now I'm purposely going to stamp a little bit off the card, and I'll tell you for why in a minute. Put that to one side. I'm going to turn this over onto a clean piece of card, and then we've got our clear embossing powder. Now you're not going to see much of this, but wait until the magic happens. Right, I don't know if, yeah, there you go. Right, so that's been hit with the clear embossing powder. Now you're going to say, oh, it's white. Yes, it's white, but we've got to heat it, and when we heat it, that's when it will go clear. Now, the reason I've done it onto white card is because let me just do one thing at a time. I'm only a guy, I can't multitask. It's beyond my capabilities. So let me grab my little pokey thingy tool, and let's heat this, and then you will see the possibilities of what this can do. So basically I'm showing you two embossing techniques. So I've showed you the basic heat embossing with a black card, and now I'm showing you this one, and then what we can do with this. Because once you've got the basics of heat embossing, it's just a little bit missed there, which I need to do. And a bit over in that corner. Cool, right, okay, I don't know if you can see that. It's going to be a little bit difficult But yeah, if I just tilt it, there you go. That's your clear embossing powder melted. So that's what it goes like, and that's what happens. Right, I'm going to put that to one side because, ta-da, in true Blue Peter fashion, there we go. Now, if I tilt that, you can see if I just keep tilting that, you can see I've done that all over the card. So exactly what I've just done, but all over that piece of card. So I've just heat embossed with clear embossing powder all over the little bit of card, my piece of card. And I have gone off the edge, which I've done deliberately, which I will now explain why. Because this next step, we're going to get a and put our figgies back, and then we're going to bring in our distress ink pads, put that back. We are finished with the embossing powders, so that can go back. Versamark we are finished with, and we are bringing in our distress ink pads. I'm going to use a selection of reds, no particular reasons, it's just because they were there, they were handy. And also I'm going to use, and as you can see below each one I keep a foam dauber, so I know I've got one for each color. So it's just a little tip. Right, okay, so enough of my waffling. Let's get some color down. Now you're going to want a piece of tissue, and I'm just going to, and this is just to protect your fingers from the distress ink. So I'm going to move this, and then we're just going to go down with some ink now, and just, you see what's happened. Right, if I hold this up, so what's happened is where we've embossed, it's resisting the ink. Okay, so it's a good way of, if you're not good at colouring, this is a good way of colouring, and without so that's that one. And again, I'm going to use several colours, so I'm just going to work my way up these colours. So the next one, that was, by the way, saltwater taffy, and this is going to be worn lipstick. So I'm basically going in with the pinks at the moment. So I'm just going to get a little bit up in this corner, and the reason I've used distress is because they blend nicely, and you can blend it into the other colours, and it's and it just produces a really nice effect. So I'm going to put that one back onto there, and then the last one I'm going to use is abandoned coral. So, and I think that will be us done on this sample. So again, I'm just going to use my colours. And if you see areas there you think need a bit more colour, right, so just go over with a little bit more ink and you'll be good. So that is it. That is your resist technique. That is how you emboss. Put ink over the top, and which resists the embossed area that you've just done. So put those back, and that is your, now you can see why I've gone off the edge, because it looks, you've done your, even though you've done this, it will look as though you have cut it from a bigger piece of card. So there you have it. That's how you do resist, using distress inks and embossing powders and your heat gun. So there you go. I hope you like that. I hope you enjoyed that. And that is your 2 pieces of basic embossing. So you've got your basic embossing and your resist technique. Hope you've liked that. And again, please do subscribe down below, like this video, and if you can, share it onto your other social medium platforms. That would be absolutely awesome. And thank you very much for your time. Cheers. Thank you. Bye bye.